First of all, I just want to thank you that you have managed to come at a very short notice. Indeed, we are in a very crucial phase in the history of our country. You are all aware of the challenges that the country is facing. You are all seized with the challenges that Zimbabweans are facing. We will advert to those. But before I go to the challenges that the country is facing, I just also want to take this opportunity to indicate to you that today is our regular meeting for the Standing Committee. As you are aware, we meet almost after every 2 weeks on Wednesdays as leadership to give strategic direction, vision and focus to the great movement, the alternative in the country. So yes, we had our very important meeting today. We are still in the process of that meeting. We are receiving reports on a number of issues, reports on the situation in the country politically and economically, as well as the social circumstances. We also received reports on the progress that is being made on the front of our internal democracy, which has been a very exciting process, wherein we have received a total of the provincial congresses that have so far been held. We are also in receipt of the preparations for the main congress, which is on the 24th to the 26th of May in Gweru, as our venue, and our theme, defining a new course for Zimbabwe. Indeed, we are defining a new course for Zimbabwe on many fronts, the most important one being on the economic front. You are all aware of the poverty trap and the economic genocide that is in the country. Nobody spared in this genocide except for the big chefs, the fat cats, the big ballers and short collars. But most of the people are feeling the pinch, particularly when one has regard to the hyperinflationary environment that we are facing in the country. 66% inflation that has been recorded to date. We are almost second from Venezuela. And you can see that we are twins with Venezuela in terms of the political instability and the political crisis that is gripping the two nations. This is an unprecedented hyperinflationary situation that we are encountered with. We have seen the kind of erosion of our salaries. Every worker in this country is suffering and bleeding. There has been over 5 times erosion of our salaries, yet there has not been any corresponding increase in the salaries in the various companies, in the various employment zones of our people. In particular, the civil servants are suffering. We have seen that our civil servants only got a 20% increment against the erosion that we have seen of their salaries. We are extremely worried. We are extremely concerned about this situation, which is quite a disturbing situation. Yes, it's not just confined to the civil servants. It also goes to the whole, phenomenon affecting our workers and indeed the generality of our Zimbabweans. You have also seen that our basic commodities have almost been galloping in prices in the supermarket. Every day we are greeted with surprising and shocking price increments. Yes, it's because of the situation and the circumstances. Basic commodities are almost 5 times to 10 times in terms of their prices. We also see that fuel continues to be a problem. Most of our workers are spending a lot of their valuable time in queues. Business people cannot do business because the big business in the country is to queue up for fuel. And that is a big challenge that continues to affect the ease of doing business, and we can't be open for business. In fact, we are shut for business because most of the people are open for business in queues. That continues to be a big challenge. We also note with very heavy hearts the situation that has been taking place with the farmers, particularly the tobacco farmers. The kind of daylight robbery that we've seen affecting our tobacco farmers, wherein they're asked to receive their returns and their payments in the currency that Mr. Mnangagwa is not proud of. He doesn't even know how to pronounce it, the bond note. But clearly, they are then selling that same tobacco in foreign currency. This is daylight robbery, it's criminal, it's unacceptable. We must give our tobacco farmers their dues and their rewards in foreign currency, because we are not selling tobacco in bond notes. It's an issue that we are seized with. We received a report from our Secretary for Agriculture, a very disturbing report, and we want this issue to be treated with the urgency that it deserves. It doesn't end there. It's not just about the farmers, particularly the tobacco farmers, it's also with the cotton farmers. Farming has become a cursed business because we have people in government who are not serious about business. Farming has to be about business, it has to be about productivity, it has to be about empowerment of our people through making sure that we allocate necessary support, but also we deal with the markets in an appropriate fashion. We also note with concern issues to do with our war veterans. In fact, this issue is very close to our hearts. Our war veterans have been neglected, abused, disadvantaged, and discarded for a long time. We see that when elections are around the corner, war veterans become relevant. When there are no elections, war veterans are useless. They are supposed to be at the periphery of decision-making. This is what we've always said. As far as we are concerned, our war veterans deserve the pride of place and priority of place, not just in payment, but in honor. We just had our independence. There's nothing that we can say we are proud of when it comes to the way the pockets of our war veterans are arranged. The stomachs of our war veterans are arranged. They are a sorry state. Why? Because we are not giving the appropriate attention to our war veterans. We need our war veterans to be given honor in terms of their cushioning on school fees, medical expenses, transport expenses, and other such important cushioning that is required for them to eke out a living and to live a decent life and to have meaning to the honor of the contribution and sacrifice that they made during the liberation struggle. It would not be adequate if I omit the issue of the water situation in Harare. We have a very serious situation, almost a catastrophe, a disaster. I understand that from the briefing I got from the mayor this morning, they have only received 150,000, when in fact they are supposed to be getting 2.8 million from the foreign currency that they are supposed to then get. Again, what compounds the problems of our local authorities is that in terms of procurement, there are certain bottlenecks. In terms of their ability to raise resources, everything is centralized within the central government, which makes it difficult for them to even get the flexibility to raise the necessary resources that are required for us to be able to ameliorate the situation. So yes, we have a big challenge. Let there be foreign currency. Let the foreign currency allocation to the local authorities be priority number one. Otherwise, there will be a serious disaster in this city, wherein people are then given water that is not treated. We need chemicals that are supposed to then sort out the water, not just for Harare, but for all the other cities and towns across the whole country. I would also want to just highlight the issue of the humanitarian situation. We've seen the hurricane in Hurungwe, in Masingo areas, the attacks in Idai, and the reports that we are getting. In fact, we are sending a team to verify these facts, that most of the people who have been affected are not benefiting. It's now the criminals who are benefiting. It's now those who are connected politically in a partisan fashion, particularly ZANU-PF, who are benefiting. And we don't understand why we partisanize or politicize aid and tragedies such as this. It's an issue that we are seized with as leadership, especially in the context of a repeat that is likely to come with Cyclone Kenneth. This time is a male name. I'm just used to these cyclones being female. But there's Kenneth that's coming, and we need to be on our force in terms of dealing with this issue. Let me also go a bit international, especially around the invitation of Mr. Museveni to come and grace our trade fair. I don't know why Mr. Mnangagwa chose Mr. Museveni to be in trade with him. We don't know. Perhaps it's a way of confirming that he belongs to a club of dictatorship, because Mr. Museveni's behavior in his own country leaves a lot to be desired. The choice of friends defines a man's character. And we are worried that Mr. Museveni has invited, Mr. Mnangagwa has invited Museveni at a time when he's terrorizing his own opposition. Bobby Wine, my dear friend, is being terrorized. I'm told he has been arrested. He has been arrested several times. That kind of behavior is unacceptable on the African continent. We don't take it lightly. Wherever dictators come in cahoots or in unison, we have an obligation to fight them. And we do not take lightly Mr. Museveni coming to our country to just come and grace the trade fair with yet another trade of dictatorship, with yet another trade of a trade union of people who oppress their own citizens and alternative voices on the African continent. It's something that we take note of, and we don't understand what's encouraging Mr. Mnangagwa to go that route. There are many people to invite. Why should you invite questionable credentials unless if you are confirming that you are just, calling boys from the same hood to try and send a particular message on the continent? Having said that, allow me to also just touch briefly on the issue of the attempts by ZANU-PF to mudsling, divide, and weaken our movement. There has been some communication that is purportedly being claimed to have come from our Secretary General. They think that they can actually divide us. We are indivisible. We are very clear as Democrats about our internal processes, and we shall treat them as such. But we've seen a letter, and I would want the SG just to give a context to that letter so that we are able to tell the world for what our machinations holders, particularly in the name of ZANU-PF, are trying to arrive at. So, Comrade SG, just come and give a slight context so that I will then conclude our briefing before we take questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. There was a letter, a strange letter that was delivered to these offices yesterday, and that letter purports to come from the office of the Secretary General. The letter seeks to incriminate, implicate certain members of the MDC as well as leaders. It accuses them of planning acts of sabotage, trying to bomb the resident minister's house and railway lines, as well as the fuel depot in Masasa. That letter is not from the Secretary General of the MDC's office. It's not from my office for the following reasons. The first one is that it has two separate logos, different logos on it. MDC is one logo. It also describes the name of the party as MDC Alliance. The name of this party is MDC. It is not addressed to anyone, to anyone in particular, but it is copied to certain people. I don't write like that. It says it is written to whom it may concern. It is copied to the Commissioner General of Police, the Director General of CIO, the Commander of the Defense Forces. We can never address correspondence to no one. Here, what we do is we address correspondence to a particular office. It is also, as you shall see, unsigned. I always sign my letters. It describes me as Honorable Douglas Monzora. I don't call myself that. I call myself Douglas Monzora. I don't call myself Honorable Douglas Monzora. I'm Honorable Douglas Monzora to the constituents. But when I describe myself using first name terms. So this is an attempt by whoever to sow seeds of division within the MDC. Whether this person has done it internally or is external, is operating from outside, this person is working for a system that we do not agree with. And I hope that my colleagues in the party, I hope that all the members, all the right-thinking members of the community must dismiss this letter as a mischievous attempt by whoever to score cheap political points. So for that reason, this letter, I have brought it to the attention of the leadership in the standing committee. I went with it to say there is a letter like this that was delivered strangely to my office. yesterday. Unfortunately, the people who to whom it was delivered did not record the name of the person who delivered it. It has a cell phone number that is not mine. So I don't know who this person is, but whoever they are, they will be unable to break my spirit as a Democrat fighting for democracy, B, the spirit of the MDC being a change agent in this country. It will not break that spirit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Comrade Secretary General. We just thought we needed to contextualize that letter, but also to say that the letter seems to be indicating that they are authentically informing and confirming that the violence that rocked the country was carried out by some of our party members, in particular the senior leaders. Clearly, this is the work of people who have been parroting on a propaganda line that the MDC had anything to do with the January disturbances. We have said it several times, that we don't organize things nicodemously, nocturnally, at night. If we have a demonstration, such as the demonstration we are going to be having in the country, that are peaceful, constitutionally permitted in terms of Section 59, we will always come out in the open to say, that date, we are going to be carrying out this activity, so that we don't ambush our colleagues in ZANU-PF. We don't believe in guerrilla tactics. We did enough of that during the liberation struggle. Now it's time for us to indicate, in terms of the law, what has to be done. So clearly, this letter is meant to try and prepare the nation. We've seen it in the past, wherein they've used it to try and justify cracking down on the MDC, attacks on the MDC. This is not new, but we are clear that this is a machination. We wanted to tell the world that at no point did we have this letter emanating from the corridors of the MDC. And they want to exaggerate what they perceive to be divisions in the party. There is no division in the party. There is diversity in the party. And that diversity is part of our mosaic rainbowness character as a party. And we cherish that. You know, when you see MDC leaders, you are seeing quintessential Democrats, people who are able to have a democratic osmosis of ideas without any problem. I wouldn't want to indicate where the region of lower concentration is and where the region of higher concentration is, but we always have this osmosis of ideas. And it doesn't mean that there are any challenges within the party. That's what a democracy does and how it unfolds. So this letter also says the following people have unlicensed firearms that were bought by Gomba, Chikombo. These are the new leaders in the Harare province whom they are trying to target. Typical ZANU-PF. They've done it in the past. They would want to target individuals in leadership, and they are so scared of our Congress. They had budgeted for anarchy at our congresses in the provinces. We've had all our 12 congresses without any serious problems, without any violence. And now that we've had peaceful, successful congresses at provinces, they want to try and invent lies, falsehoods, mendacity, meant to try and propagate yet again a lie that MDC is an organization that is anti-democratic. We are very democratic, and we will not tolerate this. So yes, we've seen the list of names of our leaders that have been highlighted. This is nothing to do with the MDC, and we are ready for any kind of challenge that they may want to visit upon us. Having said that, I'm also sure if you have any questions, we are about to go to our meeting. It's very crucial to prepare for our national executive meeting on Friday to be...
You started by singling out the problems that the nation is facing. So my question is, what are you doing as the opposition to make sure that the nation rises above these problems? I know you say you are not a governing party, but don't you think we are now at a time where our opposition parties should maybe try to devise ways of assisting citizens?
I think your mindset must change, my dear brother, from the State of the Nation. Where, yes, you have not finished, but you see, nomenclature and terminology is very important. We are not opposition. If you want opposition, go and visit Mr. Mnangagwa. We are the governing party.
So since you are the governing party, what then are you doing?
Precisely.
You are singling out problems.
Thank you.
But leaving this room, we see few accused. We see high rising goods and services. So what are you doing as the governing party?
Thank you very much. Thank you for that correct language. I really appreciate it. Yes, as the leading party, we are very conscious of the suffering our people are going through. And this is why we have said that because we have a disjuncture politically, there's a political stalemate in the country. There's a crisis of governance. There's a political crisis that must be resolved, wherein we have the man who has been declared by the Constitutional Court is not the man that the people voted for. We have said this several times. The constitutional order, the legal order, is not punctuating what the political, public, popular order is supposed to be indicating. So that disjuncture has to be resolved. The political crisis in the country, wherein we have Mr. Mnangagwa there and ourselves on the other hand. We need to resolve this political crisis. How do we resolve it? Political dialogue. What political dialogue? We need to have a genuine political dialogue between ourselves and Mr. Mnangagwa on behalf of ZANU-PF. Until that is done, all else is just a Muppet show or Tom and Jerry, banana in pajamas kind of cartoon characters. We want proper dialogue in this country, properly adjudicated upon by a mutually agreed arbiter or adjudicator, locally, nationally, or internationally, preferably from a head of state. We have said this: until we get that, there will not be any resolution that is meaningful. But not just political dialogue. We also need comprehensive reforms. Until we have comprehensive political reform, I've seen that they're trying to introduce Public Order and Security Act, a perfunctory, cosmetic, mascara, lipstick on a frog. We want deep-seated reform in this country. Not this kind of thing where they're saying, no, you don't have to move around with an ID, so we've changed. We need agreed upon comprehensive reforms, not the kind of cosmetics we are seeing in POSA or, just disaggregating, IPA, and you separate the bills into three. That is not the way to do it. Let's agree. Let's have political discourse and dialogue so that we resolve these issues. And we have given Mr. Mnangagwa sufficient latitude to come together in dialogue, in peace, so that we're able to move our country forward. If they choose not to listen, we have a constitution in place to deal with stubborn people. And we will use the constitutional means to make sure that we tame the stubbornness. I hope I answered you. Thank you. You are not understanding anything. You are saying you understand. It means that you are not understanding. Because your information is wrong. Yes, your information is wrong. If my brother, I've told you that you are not understanding anything. If you doubt what I am telling you, you must come and confirm as an employee of Harvest House. We have our workers who are here present fully catered for. So if you are imagining that we are like ZANU-PF that does not pay its employees, we are not like that. Yes, they must give you that information and go and confirm it with them, not for you to come and argue with me like you are doing. I've given you the correct position. I've answered you, my brother.
Do we have any other questions?
Thank you.
Yes, on the issues.
This one is related to the Congress, the nomination processes that you will carry out. There have been complaints, and particularly the Party Secretary General have been quoted in the Herald, pointing or raising the foul play. How democratic were these processes when you do have members that will be complaining about continual democracy?
I'm sure your sources are not confirmed, particularly the sources you are referring to. Which newspaper, by the way? No, I'm just saying which newspaper? Yes, but precisely.
You didn't introduce yourself.
They have been in foul play. I mean, nomination processes were not democratic. And to the effect that he submitted some complaints to whoever was responsible for the internal nomination processes.
Well,
they were not taken care of.
You don't need the Herald to speak on behalf of the Secretary General. He's here. And if there are any issues, they are raised in a mature way through our constitutional means. And I can tell you that as far as we are concerned, we do things according to the Constitution, and the Constitution has been followed to the letter and the spirit. All the nomination processes were being done by our independent electoral body, and that body is mandated with the clear terms of reference. And if there are any challenges, any concerns, leaders, members have internal remedies that are domestic to it, and that can be pursued. But as far as we are concerned, we are taking note of the very successful nomination processes, congressional processes that have taken place, and we are taking a good regard of this development so far.
Yes.
Yes, I just have two quick questions. You said that when you are doing demonstrations like the one that you want to do, so if I quoted you correctly, so maybe can you just give us details as to what demonstration?
My brother, the right to demonstrate is in the Constitution.
I just wanted the details.
If you go and check Section 59, it allows people to demonstrate. Not just MDC, ordinary people of Zimbabwe, including those in ZANU-PF. I'm sure you have seen that they have exercised that right several times. And that right is not partisan. It is a constitutional right. It is national. It is inclusive. And we exercise that right as and when we feel we have to. The only point I was making is that we don't do things secretly. We don't do things through hide and seek. When there is need for us to demonstrate for any particular issue to be articulated, we always come out in the open to say on such and such a day or date, we'll be able to demonstrate. So it's just to say that we don't do things behind closed doors.
And the second question was, is there any action that you are doing following the letter that you have received? What action have you taken to deal with that, maybe to find the culprit or to find the source of that data?
Well, of course, we are actually in the process. Our intelligence and security are already working on it to make sure that we get to the bottom of it. But we just thought that we needed to tell members of the public, the nation, to say we have seen it in the past. I remember sometime back, Comrade BT, you remember, Comrade Komichi, Comrade Mzuri. These are issues that they've always resorted to. That is our colleagues in ZANU-PF. If they want to try and do some funny things to preempt our processes or what they perceive to be the party that is on a track, not just to renew itself, but also to strengthen our internal processes. They always resort to ghost organizations, so-called fun organizations try to cause instability. We will not be shaken by those. I've always indicated that MDC is a huge train that cannot be derailed by barking dogs. We are a big baobab tree. You don't use a razor blade to cut us. They will try, but they will not succeed.
Thank you. When we get you, you introduce yourself. I know Dara B, but the others might not know him.